it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Sports Phone KNBR keeps rolling live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpot Studios. Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, we are back here on Sports Phone KNBR. Kerry Crowley hanging out with you just a little bit longer this evening until 9 o'clock. And folks, what more is there to say? Obviously, not the start to the road trip that the San Francisco Giants wanted, not the start to the month of May that the San Francisco Giants needed. They fall to 14-17 on the season. They lose this season opening series against the Boston Red Sox, and now they will try to avoid a sweep on Thursday morning when Kyle Harrison takes the mound, his first start at Fenway Park. We've talked a lot tonight about a team that lacks a clear identity, about a team that lacks, in my opinion, a clear strength, because it should be the starting rotation, but the reality is every fifth day has been a black hole for this team since the first time through the season that the Giants tried to run Dalton Jeffries out to the mound against the San Diego Padres in that 13-4 loss. I know I gave these numbers earlier this evening, but it's worth saying once again for our late crowd here. If you're on your way home tonight, if you're frustrated about the state of the San Francisco Giants, I think that the main source of frustration for everyone should be what the Giants' offense has looked like in recent days and what this Giants pitching staff has done on days that were supposed to belong to Blake Snell this year. You go back all the way to March 31st, and Blake Snell was on the Giants roster but was not ramped up and ready to make a start against the San Diego Padres. They go with Dalton Jeffries in the fourth game of the season. They lose 13-4 to the Padres. They split that series. Okay, you're able to skip that turn in the rotation the next time through because of an off day at home, and then Blake Snell makes his debut on April 8th against the Washington Nationals. What happens? Snell's not ready. Giants lose 8-1. Offense didn't show up. Snell got lit up early. It didn't work. Okay, that's fine. You know, you figure, hey, Blake Snell is going to go through some of those difficulties. He's never been an April pitcher anyway in his career. Give him another shot. And so he goes back to familiar confines against the Tampa Bay Rays on April 14th. And what happens? Back in Tampa, where he's, of course, pitched dozens of times throughout his major league career, of course, spent a ton of time with the Rays before being traded to the San Diego Padres. What happens? The Giants lose 9-4. Snell got lit up. The barrels were found, and he did not look good. So third time out, you figure, okay, fortunes have got to change. Maybe he's not 2023 Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell, but maybe he can be someone that the Giants could rely on to at least give them 5 innings of 2-3-run ball against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Folks, that didn't happen. Snell gets run early. The Giants lose 17-1 in historic fashion. And of course, most of those runs came against the bullpen that night, but that's neither here nor there. On the fifth turn through the rotation, the Giants simply haven't shown up. Blake Snell was not an answer, and the offense hasn't been an answer either. So you get to April 24th, and you figure, okay, at some point, Blake Snell is going to turn it around. He's scheduled to face the New York Mets after the Giants had already taken 2 games of that series. He was going for the sweep. You figured that this would be the opportunity where the pressure would be mitigated a little bit by the fact that the Giants had already taken 2 games from New York, a team that came in with a winning record to Oracle Park. Hours before first pitch, he goes on the injured list with the adductor strain. The bullpen loses the game. Sean Jelly doesn't pitch well. It gets out of hand early. They lose 8-2. And folks, Tonight, Blake Snell's turned through the rotation when he is supposed to be the starting pitcher following Logan Webb in this rotation. He's on the injured list. The Giants go back to Dalton Jeffries, a decision that I've already second-guessed multiple times throughout the course of the evening. And if they go back to him a third time on this road trip, I will definitely second-guess that decision. I'll third guess it again with Dalton Jeffries. But tonight, the Giants offense doesn't show up. Just 2 runs after not scoring on Tuesday evening against the Red Sox at Fenway Park. Remember, this is a hitter-friendly ballpark. Dalton Jeffries not able to get the job done tonight against this Red Sox lineup. They lose the series. They lose tonight's game 6-2, and there are plenty of reasons for frustration. We talked all about the fact that this 5th slot in the rotation has been nothing but a black hole for the San Francisco Giants so far this season. But I do think it's worth pointing out, and this is something that I emphasized early on in the show, the onus on winning some of these ball games at points throughout the season is going to come down to whether or not this Giants lineup can produce. And at the tail end of the Bobby Evans and Brian Sabean era in San Francisco, the Giants ran into an issue. And it started to crop up at the second half of the 2016 season, although that was really more of a bullpen issue. But it really became apparent throughout the 2017 season when the Giants lost 98 games. And the issue is this. The Giants have not drafted well enough to fill out this lineup card on a daily basis. And it's ultimately what cost Bobby Evans his job back in 2018 at the end of that season after they put together their second straight losing campaign after they'd traded for Evan Longoria and traded for Andrew McCutchen and gave up Brian Reynolds in that faded McCutchen deal that continues to haunt the Giants this day. It cost Bobby Evans that the Giants had not done a good enough job of adding talent and developing talent in the farm system. And so you figure, Farhan Zaidi comes in, the Giants get a fresh start. Larry Baer, back at that November 2018 press conference, talks all about the next generation of Giants baseball. And it wasn't music to the ears of Giants fans to hear that the Giants were going to be doing things similar to some of the more successful teams in Major League Baseball, that they were going to be implementing analytics more in their decision-making, that they were going to be trying to build through the farm system the way that the Dodgers had to build a sustainable winner. But the reality is, other teams had copied the Giants in building the sustainable winner through the farm system. Where did Buster Posey, Brandon Crawford, Brandon Belt, Joe Panik, Pablo Sandoval all come from? They all came from the Giants farm system. They were all drafted, or in Sandoval's case, signed as an international free agent and developed through the Giants farm system, and all became cornerstones of World Series caliber clubs with the San Francisco Giants. And since Farhan Zaidi took over, there was this assumption, there was this hope that the prospects would get better, that he would take over and Michael Holmes would take over the amateur draft process, and the Giants would be able to add the talent that was necessary to compete in the National League on a year-in, year-out basis. And you wouldn't have to worry as much about losing out on these big free agents. You wouldn't have to worry as much if Giancarlo Stanton turns down the trade to come to San Francisco. You wouldn't have to fear Bryce Harper picking the Philadelphia Phillies over the San Francisco Giants. Aaron Judge choosing to return to New York over better offers from San Diego and potentially San Francisco. I don't know if the Giants had the better offer, but I'm sure that they were listening and in it until the end. And you don't have to worry if Shohei Ohtani goes and signs with the Dodgers, because you should have the talent within your own farm system to fill out a solid roster. And folks, we are now 5 years in to Farhan Zaidi's tenure as the president of baseball operations for the San Francisco Giants. And you look up and down the lineup tonight for this ball club. Jung-Hoo Lee, signed from the outside. Jorge Soler, signed from the outside. Lamont Wade Jr., traded for from the outside. Matt Chapman, signed from the outside. Michael Conforto, signed from the outside. Tyro Estrada, traded for from the outside. Mike Yastrzemski, traded for from the outside. Tom Murphy, signed from the outside. Nick Ahmed, signed from the outside. Every single position player the Giants had in tonight's lineup came from outside the organization. 5 years into the tenure of Farhan Zaidi, the president of baseball operations, the Giants did not have a single homegrown position player in their lineup tonight. That is inexcusable. That is a failed process, both from the predecessors in Brian Sabean and Bobby Evans, and from the people currently in charge in Farhan Zaidi and Pete Putila. You cannot have a lineup featuring 9 players from outside the organization and expect to be a competent ball club. And at 14-17, the Giants right now have not looked like a competent ball club the last two nights. This offense has not looked like a competent ball club. Of course, it's a little different if you include Patrick Bailey, who was off tonight. He is the best draft pick of the last 10 years for the San Francisco Giants, at least from a position player standpoint. Bailey has superstar potential. He could be really, really good. The Giants may have hit in the first round of the 2020 MLB draft, and that could be great for this team. But that is not enough. You need 2, 3, 4, 5 players. And a lot of people will hear this. I'm sure I'm getting texts right now, 415-808-KNBR. I'm sure I'm getting texts saying, well, then bring up the kids. Bring up Elliot Ramos. Bring up Luis Matos. Bring up Marco Luciano and see what they have. I'm not opposed to those ideas, but I don't think that the players within the Giants farm system are fixes right now. I don't think that you put Elliot Ramos on this 2024 Giants baseball club and you say, all of a sudden, this is a great offense. I don't think you bring up Marco Luciano in place of Nick Ahmed and you say, hey, the Giants are a significantly better team tomorrow than they were today. I don't think you put Luis Matos, who, by the way, has been struggling down at AAA, in this Giants outfield in place of a Jung-Hoo Lee or a Michael Conforto and say that the Giants would be definitively better. And that is the problem for this team. That's the real issue, is that the Giants don't have players at AAA who are pushing down the doors to get into the big leagues. I'd say Elliot Ramos probably is with his play. I think that you could make a compelling case that he would be an upgrade in right field over Austin Slater right now, but the Giants front office does not appear to be willing to give him that opportunity just yet. It may come by the end of May. It may come if a player goes on the injured list. But aside from that, is Casey Schmidt making this roster better? A second-round draft pick in 2020. Is Luis Matos and Marco Luciano, are they making this roster better today? Are the other picks from the 2019, 2020, 2021 drafts making this roster better? Have the international free agents the Giants have signed under Farhan Zaidi and Pete Patilla making this roster better? You might argue yes. I say probably not. And the reality is, we don't know for sure because no one is forcing their way to the big league level, which is an issue in this farm system. To be 5 years into Farhan Zaidi's tenure in San Francisco and to not have the talent needed to fill out a lineup card with at least 2 or 3 homegrown players, to have to find everyone else from the outside, it's not good. It's a reflection of the Giants' player development right now, which I have defended a lot of people in the player development process over the last several years. I think they've done a fine job on the pitching side, bringing up Kyle Harrison, bringing up Keaton Wynn. I thought Landon Roop showed a lot last night. In fact, I made the case, send him down and turn him into a starting pitcher for the second half of the season. Maybe that's what the Giants will do. But you look at this lineup right now, and you look at its struggles over the course of the last week and really the first 31 games of this regular season, and there is not hope in the farm system. Maybe Bryce Eldridge, who's down at low A San Jose, maybe he comes up and hits 40 one day. Rainer Arias, great prospect, he's down low A. You look at the Giants' other top 10 prospects right now. Walker Martin has not played yet this season. He was drafted last year. It's going to be a while. Maui Ahuna is ranked number 9 in their top 30 prospects, according to MLB.com. He's an A-ball. You go further down the list, Grant McCray, Double-A, glove first player. Further down the list, Averson Arteaga, shortstop, glove first player. Vaughn Brown, he's 25 years old already. Wade Meckler, 24 years old already, and he's not forcing his way up from AAA. The farm system isn't barren, but it's not going to transform this team overnight. And I think that is the biggest issue for this Giants club. It's that they have had to fill from the outside because for the last 10 years, their drafting and developing has not been good enough. And when you fill from the outside, you're taking risks on players who might be past their prime and might take a while to find their groove in this Giants lineup. And it's taken all of them a while. There were some hard hit balls from Jung-Hoo Lee tonight. Jorge Soler hit a scorcher to Rafael Devers at third base, and he was furious. He snapped that bat over his knee when things did not go his way. But you can't expect people from the outside to fix problems that are internal. They can cover them up for a season or two, but right now, they're not covering them up. And so the Giants have a flawed roster, and they have bigger issues on their hands than just these last 2 losses to the Boston Red Sox. We will see what this Giants team can do tomorrow against the Red Sox as they get set to take the field behind Kyle Harrison, who hopes to put an end to this 2-game losing streak now. I thought the Giants might be building momentum with wins against the Mets, with wins against the Pirates. They were not able to carry that into Boston after the off day. 2 runs in 18 innings ain't going to cut it. A lineup filled with players from the outside ain't going to cut it. And a farm system that is not producing the talent that's pushing down the door to the big league level, that ain't going to cut it either. I have high expectations for this team. You may say be more patient. That's fine. We'll be patient. We'll get to 40 games. In fact, the Giants are 9 games away from the quarter pole. That's when you really start judging a team. If you want to be even more patient, Memorial Day, a month away. We can be patient. We'll see how they navigate this. A 16-game stretch in 16 days. They're 0-2 and coming off of a bullpen game in which they had to use a ton of arms. We shall see how this works out for them tomorrow. I'm Kerry Crowley. I will be back in this seat tomorrow night hosting Sports Zone KNBR. Appreciate everyone who dialed in this evening, gave their unfiltered opinions on the state of the San Francisco Giants, their thoughts on the Giants' identity to this point in the season. It's been fun. It's been real. And maybe tomorrow we'll be able to talk about a Giants win. We have a full show for you starting at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. I want to thank Cole LaPelt, our producer this evening. I want to thank everyone behind the scenes, including Tim and Ryan, who are running around making this show possible. Giants played a quick one, so we had a little bit longer to go this evening until 9 o'clock. We have reached that point. It's my turn to sign off and say so long from KNBR. You're listening to Sports Zone KNBR, 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
This is the flagship of Giants baseball. Double play! KNBR and KNBR FM San Francisco, the sports leader.
I'm John Mulaney, but he's promoting his thing, and he said it's on at like 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 Atlantic. And I would like that. I would like if Eastern time was changed to Atlantic time. Eastern and Pacific, that's kind of stupid. We have Pacific, which because it's on the Pacific. We have Mountain because there's mountains there. We have Central because it's in the central part of the country. Although I guess that's a direction too. You wouldn't just call it nothing to do here time zone. So you probably Mississippi. Why can't it be Mississippi time? That's what I want to see changed. I would like less time zones. I would like if we could somehow squeeze them into 2. I think that'd be better for the country. I do. I'll run on that platform. But if we could go Pacific Mountain, Mississippi time for the Great River, of course, and then Atlantic, I would vote on that proposal. 855-212-4227. So in the NBA tonight, we've got 2 games. One has been completed, and it was really over in the first quarter. It really was. And that's what you would have expected, the Celtics to beat the Heat. Heat got one. Classic Game 5 money scenario where a team that should sweep a team doesn't sweep a team. They give them one, and then, oh, what? Look at this. Found money. We got a bonus home game. Wow. Good for the fans, though. Enjoy this ride. Celtics win 118-84. Heat are out. In the game that is currently going on now, this is a series that the games haven't necessarily been great. I mean, there's been comebacks, there's been interest, there's been some good games. But right now, the Mavericks are up 92-71 with 9:32 to go in the 4th. And this is in L.A. So the Dallas Mavericks will have a chance to close this out later this week in Dallas. This seems like a series that's going to go 7, no matter what, though. It also seems like a series that it would go 9 if it had to, and 11 and 13. If it was a 15-game series, one of these teams would win in Game 15, 8-7. That's what it seems like to me. And the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard tonight, they've won their 2 other games without Kawhi, but not able to do that so far tonight. In hockey, the Dallas Stars have the edge now in that series, beating the Golden Knights 3-2. So they win 3-2 and have a 3-2 lead. And then Edmonton is looking to close out the Kings, that in the second, with the Oilers up 3-2 in Game 5 of that series. Last night we had 6 hockey and basketball games going on at one time. A little more low-key tonight, but certainly a lot of monumental games, a lot of important games, with it being the playoffs. Tomorrow another lighter night, just one hockey game, Boston and Toronto. That series could have been over. It went to overtime. Toronto's still alive. Game is in Toronto. Boston has a 3-2 lead, and they're worried that shades of last year are going to come back to bite them, where they bowed out before they should have, they'll say, and had a 3-1 lead. And then tomorrow, 5:30 Central, or as I call it, Mississippi time, the Bucks have the Pacers. A game tips off 9 o'clock, I'll call it Atlantic time, between the Sixers and the Knicks. So definitely huge games to talk about, but a lighter load tomorrow. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. All right, let's get to Daryl in Louisiana. Daryl, what's up? Daryl, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for taking my call. I wanted to mention something about Zion Williamson. I'm a sports fan, so I'll watch anything, but I've kind of been down on the NBA of late. And with Zion, I mean, he barely played last year. He played more games this year. He's a 23-year-old young guy, and I was at the game where he got hurt against the Lakers, and I didn't even know he had left the court. I mean, all of a sudden he's not on the court. He's not on the sideline. I couldn't tell he got hurt. And I just remember thinking, I mean, I'm old enough to remember watching Jordan and Magic and all them. I never remember Jordan ever missing a game for being hurt. And every time you turn around, Zion's hurt. You know, he hurt his hamstring. Didn't even try to get back in the series. You know, I don't know. It just seems like It just seems like these athletes nowadays are just kind of, I guess, like the rest of the generation. You know, just softies. I don't know. That's just my opinion, I guess.
I think that's I think that you're looking at the past with tinted glasses.
Okay.
Michael Jordan may have played. I think a lot of these guys played in more games. I also think the game is, these guys are built different, body-wise, stronger and faster, and like they're going to get hurt more.
Okay.
There was one season Jordan missed 64 games.
You see, I guess I don't remember that. But
no, that's fine. That's fine. The other thing is, and we never talk about this, is Jordan also missed 2 years. Now, I get it. It's different circumstances, but nobody talks about that either.
Didn't he go like 2 or 3 years though without missing a game?
He might have. I'll look up his stats real quick.
Well, it's really impressive. What I remember.
I'm not saying he wasn't an Iron Man. I'm not saying that he wasn't.
Yeah. So his last year in Washington, what he doesn't get enough credit for, is he played all 82 games. And not only did he play all 82 games, I'm not positive about this, but I would guess he played more minutes per game. And when I say minutes per game, I mean total minutes, than anybody playing in this year's NBA. And that's at any age. And he did that at 40. That is one of the most impressive feats of Michael Jordan's career, which never gets brought up, by the way.
So Jordan, he mainly played 82 games. He did that a lot. And I think what my pushback would be, and Daryl, thanks for the call, what my pushback would be is there are plenty of times where guys don't play, where if they were in the NBA 25 years ago, they would play. So I understand your sentiment there. I totally do. If there was a minute where it sounded like I was trying to scold you, I'm not. I just want to hammer a point home. Is that yes? Had some of these players played all this time ago, just the mentality was different. That you play every game. You play every game. If you can play every game, you play every game. And, yeah, Jordan was playing 39, 40 minutes a night. Now, then he left for baseball, and then he he retired and then came back because his team sucked, and he was killing them in practice. So he's like, I could do this. which is that's the Jordan I like, where he's just like he's retired for 3 years and these guys are so bad. He's like, what am I doing here? I gotta get back out there. I gotta play. Now Zion, though, if you're gonna use that as the example, he got hurt. So it's not like Zion just deuced out with 4 minutes to go and said, I'm a young guy. I have a bad attitude. I'm not like the previous generation. These guys can handle it themselves. I don't want to do it. It tears these guys up when they can't play due to injury. And a lot of guys did play this year more than they normally do. But Adam Silver did have to enact the 65-game rule. There's 82 games in a season, and there's 65 games that these guys have to play if they want to be up for awards. Because what people are doing is we're thinking about the sport different than we did 25 years ago. 25 years ago, they never thought about resting. They never thought about the long haul. And I think if you look at the game now and then look at it then, I think that's great. That's a great testament to Jordan to say, oh, man, not only did he play full seasons most of the time, not only did he do that, but then it didn't slow him down in the playoffs, and he still won 6 NBA championships. So I think there is a tendency for guys to... The guys don't play as many games in the regular season as they used to. I can't run from that. But what I'm saying is sometimes they're held out of games that they do want to play, but the medical office, those guys get involved. The front office gets involved. There's situations like that happen. They think, oh, we can lose a game, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's more of that happens. There's more thought put into how many games these guys are playing than there used to be. And for some, that's like a red line for some. For some, that's like, well, they're not playing the kind of basketball that I used to watch. And they're not. Now, the first thing I said was their bodies are built different. They are. These guys are, but that's part of it. Not saying that guys from back then couldn't play now. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is the game is different. You are right to think of it that way. I think the instance that you used was wrong, but you were watching the Pelicans and you didn't realize he was gone. I totally get how you got there. And I can't run from saying that the game is not different. And I think there should be changes to it, but you're not going to get guys. You get guys that want to play 82 games, teams won't let them. Milwaukee alert. I think I'm going to add a sound effect when I relate something to Milwaukee. Milwaukee alert. William Contreras is the Brewers catcher, and he wants to play in every game this season. And he has so far, I believe. And he wants to play in every game as a catcher. Well, he could DH a game, fine. You can do that now, but as a catcher. But we're all waiting for the first game where he doesn't play because you don't do that anymore. That's why the Cal Ripken Ironman streak will not be broken. Those kind of streaks will not be broken. Favre's consecutive game streak, consecutive starts won't be broken. There's more thought into how many games you're playing, and there's more reasons why. So, but I get it. If that's the red line for you, I do understand. And it sucks too as a fan because I always think about it as going to the games, but maybe you don't have a lot of time. Maybe you're busy and it's like, oh, all right, there's this kid I want to play or want to watch. He's on my team. Let's turn it on. Yeah, Zion Williamson out tonight with rest. You're like, come on. I want to watch it. But they're resting for the playoffs. And then in the playoffs, they get hurt. So long way to say that I get it. Long way to say that I get it. Jimmy James is in Tuscaloosa. Jimmy James.
How we doing, gentlemen?
What's up?
So I just was wondering, as we're talking, of course the game has changed, society's changed, the whole world's changed. We know that. But is the NBA a tougher NBA or a softer NBA? And is it a better NBA or is it a worse NBA now than it was back in those Jordan years when he won the 6 championships. What's your take on that, Bart?
I think a lot of us have this idea of what 90s basketball was. And I say a lot, too, that my favorite era of football was the 90s. I think a lot of us have an idea of what it was. Good question. Is it better than it was before? I gotta like dodge the question in this. I gotta say some parts are and some parts aren't.